Hello, beautiful people. Let's talk footy. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's been a while since I made one of these videos, but it doesn't matter. Let's talk footy. More specifically, let's talk Ballon d'Or. There's a lot of talk about who deserves to win the Ballon d'Or. Is it Lionel Messi that deserves to win it for the 8th time in his career after winning the World Cup with Argentina? Or is it maybe Erling Haaland who would be winning his first Ballon d'Or of his career after helping Man City win the treble last season? I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky one. There's one video that I was watching recently on CBS Sports where Thierry Henry brings up a few really good points. So what I want to do is I want us to listen to this video together and kind of break it down and see what he's trying to say. Yeah, let's get into it.
You do your thing. We're just going to keep on having a conversation whilst we're doing it, apparently. Is he the rightful winner, do you think? Is it the right decision to give it to Lionel Messi?
I mean, a lot of people can debate that. For me, if you win the World Cup the way he did it, and we can talk about what happened in the final, obviously, as a Frenchman, I was a bit disappointed with how we finished. But you can't say that is not also deserved if he wins it. Like, a lot of people can pretend and come, and, you know, the Man City players, Alan, and some other players can also say, why not me? But you can't say that it's not right if he wins it. You know, you had in the history at times where I'm thinking about Lewandowski. Like,
2020.
they decided to say that there were not going to be any Ballon d'Or that year, but there was football. Why the guy wasn't allowed to have his golden ball, Ballon d'Or, shall I say? So,
Who do you think deserves to win it?
for me, Messi,
Messi this year?
by over.
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah.
All day,
I
every
always
day.
feel, listen, you can always argue about, certainly Haaland's probably the other one. You think of the goals he scored and the fact they won the treble. But I do feel whenever there's a major tournament, certainly...
I'm going to pause it there for a second. Now, going back to the point where people think that Erling Haaland should win it because he won the treble and for the goals he scored, that's true. But Erling Haaland was playing on probably the best team he could have played with or on this past season. Man City was on fire. There was a lot of players that were on top of their game. He had a lot of help playing on that Man City team. I mean, look what Gundogan did. Kevin De Bruyne. I can go through the entire list. Bernardo Silva, etc., etc. So yes, Erling Haaland was scoring a lot of goals. He was probably the player Man City was missing to win the Champions League or even better, win the treble. So did Erling Haaland play a major role on that Man City team winning the treble? Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think if you put Erling Haaland on a different team other than that Man City team, would he still be able to win the treble with another team? To me, that's the $1,000,000 question. And in my opinion, I don't think so. However, if you look at it the other way, Messi won the World Cup, the biggest prize in the game of football. Messi won that prize. Messi won the World Cup. And if you put Messi on another team that was similar to Argentina or whatever, you can say Messi could probably still win the World Cup. I mean, that Argentina team was not the strongest team at the World Cup. In the final, they played against France, one of the strongest teams in the competition. So I don't know. I don't think Erling Haaland was the main guy that won the treble for Man City, to be honest. But let's keep going.
It's normally the player of that tournament, even go back in history, is normally the guy who picks it up. But it's going to be difficult for that man to probably ever have a better season. Unfortunately for him, he plays for a country who's maybe going to struggle to maybe even qualify for major tournaments. So he's certainly the one, Mike, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. I mean, any other year he probably gets it, but I have to agree with you. Messi, with the pressure he had to go into that tournament and deliver, not only just score goals, but his all-round game in them games was fantastic.
Thierry, can I ask you something?
If Lionel Messi didn't win the World Cup with Argentina, and if another player won the World Cup with their national team, I think Erling Haaland would be the strongest candidate to win the Ballon d'Or. That's the other thing. If he was going against any other player, it was probably going to be Erling Haaland, I think. But going against Messi, after everything Messi has achieved, winning it with Argentina, it was just, he was destined to win it. And it feels like the entire world wanted Messi to win the World Cup with Argentina. I think that also plays a big role. But again, is that really fair? Is that a fair assessment? Do you consider that player's career and numbers in that specific year, or do you take into consideration what has happened in the past, in the previous years? And I think this is where it becomes a little biased, it becomes a bit subjective. Let's keep going.
That's not even a dream for someone like us, but you were a player who certainly were one of the best players in the world in your peak. Was there ever a season where you felt you should have won that trophy?
Well, that's the closest I've been to the Ballon d'Or, apart when I gave it to Ronaldo one time.
What was your best season where you thought... because the great players in the world, let's be honest, they do think about that trophy. I know you're team players, Messi, Ronaldo, the great... You're one of them.
I'll be honest, I said it, and I will say it again. When I was in the back of my building, I was about to say my garden, that was going to be a big lie at that time. Building, concrete. I never thought about this. I thought about winning the World Cup, I thought about winning with my teams. That's the consequence of what you do as a player that brings you that. That can't be your first thing. This is your first thing. This is why when I hear players saying, first, I want to win the Ballon d'Or, I'm not too sure with your mind.
Yeah, but Thierry...
Well, your mind is, but...
Ooh, that's an interesting point. Basically, what he's saying is, if a player's dream is to win the Ballon d'Or, their mindset is not right, because football is a team sport. And your mindset should be, I want to win with my team. I want to win competitions. I want to win trophies with my team. And if you do that, if you achieve that success, then you have a chance of winning those individual prizes, such as the Ballon d'Or. And that's a consequence of your achievements within your team. So it's interesting, because I kind of feel like if you look at a player like Cristiano Ronaldo, he has that individual selfishness, individual mindset, where he wants to achieve every single individual prize, and he wants to break every individual record, etc., etc. Now, does he also want to win with his teams? Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. But is it that black and white? Should you, as a player growing up, dream of winning the Ballon d'Or? Is that selfish, really? Because you can look at it the other way around also, because if you win the Ballon d'Or, that means you've done really well. And if you're playing a team sport, which is football, then that means you've done great for your team. So if you aim to be the best version of yourself individually as a player, and you score a lot of goals or create a lot of assists, whatever it is that you need to do as an individual player, then that means you're the best version of yourself for your team. So then you also are giving your team a big chance to go and achieve those collective prizes and trophies, etc., etc. So I understand what Thierry Henry is saying here, but I also don't think it's that black and white. I don't think if the players aiming to win the Ballon d'Or necessarily means they're selfish, or their mindset's not right, and they're not gonna be able to win trophies with their team. So interesting.
This is why when I hear players saying, first, I want to win the Ballon d'Or, I'm not too sure with your mind.
Yeah, but Thierry...
Well, your mind is, but...
Yeah, but when you're in your peak,
2003,
that must be in your mind.
2003,
yeah.
He had 32 goals, 28 assists that season. Nedved, who won it, had 14 goals and 17 assists.
But look, you can't debate opinions. When journalists are involved and vote, they vote whatever they want. However you want to look at it, they vote whatever they want. And when you look at the votes in the history of it, not only my year, every year, you look at the first three, you're like, really? You must have looked at some sometime, and you must have looked at some and like, really? So it is what it is. You can't debate opinions. It's very difficult.
You think it's political then?
I don't know if it's political, but you can't debate opinions. If we go around properly, you would have said, like, you agreed with us, but you would have said Haaland. Let's all be.
Domestic, I would have said Haaland,
yeah,
of course.
That's what I'm saying Messi. Another guy would have said something.
Season,
another guy would have said something else. I just think that, for me, one of the things that...
What about Gundogan? He had a pretty good season. Yeah, maybe he didn't score the goals that Haaland scored, but he scored some crucial goals. He led his team. He was the leader of that team. He led his team to win the treble. I mean, it's a pity, man. It's a pity some of these players are never in the conversation. But yeah, very interesting.
Surprised me a lot in all that list that we saw before, that not the Spanish guy won it. They dominated world football for 6 years, and at the club level.
Well, wasn't that why Messi
were not even... Yeah, but they were winning the World Cup and the Euro at the same time.
Yeah, so who are you talking about then? You're talking about Xavi and Iniesta?
That's what I'm saying. You're telling me one of those guys at Barcelona at one point wasn't... Some of them were not even in the talk. I think Andres came close at one point. But look...
That's another good point that I wanted to bring up, is if it's about what you achieve with your national team, which is what it is in Messi's case, if he ends up winning the Ballon d'Or, which it seems like he will be, the Spanish national team won the Euros in 2008, and Barcelona that year won the treble under Pep Guardiola, if I'm not mistaken. Now, there were players on that Barcelona team that won the Euros with their national team. Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Piqué, whatever. And if these guys won the treble with Barcelona in 2008 and they also won the Euros with Spain, then you can argue that they won the treble and they won the World Cup, so they should win the Ballon d'Or. And when you look it up, Cristiano Ronaldo won the Ballon d'Or in 2008. It's very interesting, very, very interesting.
A guy like Samuel Eto'o wasn't even so many players in the history that came close to it, and it's not for everyone. So it's something that people are proud of in France because that's where it started. But again, if we go back, I'm not particularly saying that Haaland didn't deserve to win it, but the year of Messi winning the World Cup, scoring I think 18 goals in the league in France and having 17 assists, or is the other way around? I don't actually remember. He won the league. Nobody thought he was going to win the World Cup when he won it and how he won it. The way he was possessed. That team reminded me of the team of Maradona in '86, a team that was like fighting for a guy.
For him.
Do you know what I mean? So you have to give him his credit.
So yeah, basically Thierry Henry is saying that the way Messi won the World Cup, he deserves to win the Ballon d'Or. I personally agree with him. I think Messi should win the Ballon d'Or, and that would be crazy because that will be his 8th Ballon d'Or in his career. And you will bet Cristiano Ronaldo is keeping an eye on that and saying, I'm still playing, Euros are next year, and if I win the Euros again with Portugal, I can win my 6th Ballon d'Or. Crazy. These guys are at the age of whatever they are, 35, 36, 37, and they're still competing, I think. I think Messi, for what he did with Argentina, carried his team, his national team, under a lot of pressure. I mean, you could argue if he didn't win it, he would probably retire from international football, and he's done this before and he's come back. So there was a lot of pressure. That Argentina team was not the best team in the competition. I don't think they were the favorites, and they won the World Cup because of Messi. Mainly Messi carried that team, whereas when you look at Erling Haaland, did Haaland carry Man City to win the treble? I think that's a bit of a tricky one, and I don't think you can confidently say Erling Haaland carried Man City and was the main reason why they won the treble. Yes, he scored a lot of goals at a very young age, and if he wasn't going against Messi, he would probably win the Ballon d'Or. But guess what? You're still young, Haaland. Keep doing what you're doing, and you will probably win the Ballon d'Or at some point. Thanks for listening, guys. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share your opinions and thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.